Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And it's Wednesday, it's October 17th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And another interesting day, really high volatility. The volatility is still really high, the volume's still really high. I mean, we had a big sell off, then we rallied, and then we just kind of traded down to sideways again. And the market opened right in this level, maybe 28.16 level or so. And you can see we closed basically the same place. So we almost closed unchanged for the day after all that movement. We don't care where it closes. All we care is that it moves during the day. And there's so much movement, so many good trades here that you shouldn't have any problem finding you two or three really good trades today. So anyway, that's enough on that. I'm going to back out here. I'm going to go through the trades. There's a lot of them, so I'll move through them pretty quickly again. It's getting late and I need to get out of here. I've got another commitment this evening. So I'm going to move through these pretty quickly. You had to be a little patient this morning. Um, we got a nice little reversal here early, but you had to be a little patient because the 7 o'clock hour came right in here, and this movement right here, and you don't want to be going short. I mean, there is a failed second entry long right there, but we've already had a break, a couple jogs down to a new low, and so I'm not going to probably risk trying to get short at the low of the day. It would have worked still, but you don't want to risk that. And then guess what? You make a low, then you make a higher low. It's basically a double bottom, and this actually went lower and turned and went out the other side. I like going long there. It's a little bit aggressive. It is a higher low, and we are a good bit away from the EMA, and we're way overdue to pull back to our, well, I shouldn't say way overdue because we did come back right here, right before, 6 o'clock, 6:30 hours, somewhere in that range. Obviously before I came in, but I like just trying to ride that back to the EMA. It's a little aggressive though, so I did mark it green. We actually make a failed second entry short right here. Everything's still below the EMA though, and this has been fairly strong down. So we may try to make another leg down, but you see I measured this leg and I ended up moving this over here. And you can see once we made a perfect measured move over here, we bounced again and we were starting to come up short. So that would have been my target. Originally I had it here. Of course we didn't make it on that turn, but we just kind of made a double top here and turned back down again. So I measured from there. So that's why that's there. But having said that, this is a double bottom, so that's still like a new low. We do get a reversal here. We didn't quite get back to the EMA, as you can see, and we've already had a close outside this short term and a new high. So that one's a little questionable as well. It's not an ideal setup, but it is a failed second entry short. You may want to take it. You had just enough to get out before it reverses. And again, that's why we go for 4 ticks, because you might have actually got an extra couple of ticks there, but it wasn't much. And a lot of times you'll get that just enough to get out and then it reverses. And so that's why people always ask me, why do we go for 4 ticks? Well, that's why, because we can consistently get that, and you'd be surprised how many times you can't get one more tick than that. And so that's why we go for that number. That's why we choose 4 ticks. But anyway, this plays out. We reverse. We shoot right through the EMA, pull back and test it right along that trend line. Turns down right off the EMA. Big bearish bar. I like going short there. We get a reversal here. It is into these lows, but you got enough room to probably get out. So I like taking that one, to be honest with you, because at this point, you're looking for another possible measured leg down, and we're heading down pretty quickly. So just make sure you got enough room to get out before that double bottom. That'd be the key there. I wouldn't be as worried about the closes there, but I would be worried about that double bottom somewhat. You got to be. So just make sure you got enough to get out before there. If you do, you can take that trade. If not, it'd probably be a little bit aggressive. We bounce, and you can draw that line right off those 2 lows and pull it up. We turn down right here. This one was really tempting, but that bar is basically a doji. It is a second entry. Actually, we don't break lower right here. So it's just a first entry. Then it comes back. It gives you a second entry right there, but we're not back quite to the trend line. You can't really tell where that trend line's at just yet. But then we get a couple of more closes, and you can kind of adjust that a little bit in case you don't quite have it right. But when you get this second entry short here on this really bearish bar, especially when it broke higher first, I like going short, especially with it being right there confirming that trend line. Go short right there, and that's a really nice move. Just follow straight down, and you definitely get a runner there. It comes back here. This one's a little bit, I marked this one green just simply because we got a big downtrend going here, and this is right at a key entry point, a major one, and but the signal bar is a doji. We do get this big bearish bar right next to it, so that's really what I was using. If you took that, it's a little bit aggressive, but if you take that, just, I like it because of where it's at. And if you do take that, your stop still has to go above this bar, which is a tick higher than this one. But again, it's a little bit aggressive. You don't know that it's going to take off like that because it could break lower and move up and get a break and then turn back down or whatever. So if you drew your trend line off those first two swings right there, you can kind of see that everything's still playing within that trend line right there, except for that big bearish bar. And so you may take that one, but again, it's aggressive. Of course, we're moving down. There's a failed second entry long right here. Notice your first entry and pull back second entry. I didn't mark it because we're just kind of in the middle. We didn't make the lows yet, but we're not back to the highs. We're just kind of going sideways here, and we're really close to that measured move. So I wasn't crazy about it. Notice that we do come back first entry, pull back, and we get a second entry short right at the key entry point again. Go short there. And you actually, if you didn't, this one didn't break higher, but it's still a big bearish bar. I'm okay going short right there too. This thing is probably going to take off again. If it does, you want to get a piece of it. And again, the bottom just falls out of it. So you definitely get a runner here. This one would have been hard to get in because notice there's no overlap. It gaps there. I mean, it was just so weak. So you may not have got a chance to get in it again if you waited till this bar. Failed second entry long here, but we moved a long way. We're very close to the lows. It is a pullback to test that midline, but we've already closed outside and got a new low, so I'm real leery of it. You probably could argue for that one to be green just because of where it's at there. So I'm going to mark it green. My phone's ringing. I'm just going to turn it off. Again, I'm not crazy about it because we've been moving down for a long time, and we're right at the very lows, and we end up moving a good bit. And now we got an overshoot. Again, at this point, this looks like an overshoot. Notice how it gapped over the trend line there. We see that a lot. That tells you it's probably in the right place. You probably got the right angle and everything. This could be turned out this is a midline, but at this point, I'm treating this like an overshoot, and we may get a reversal. So notice we're working up. And you finally get back to the trend line here, and you get a nice bar off that key entry point, but it's too bullish. It's more neutral than bullish. You get a pull back here, again, too bullish, and then it reverses. And there is a second entry long here, but I'm not going long yet. I want to see evidence that that we're going higher. And it does run up and pull back, and it gives you a failed second entry short that bounces right off that EMA. Look how bullish that is. I like going long there. And you may have had trouble getting in that one because it does gap there too. Gaps up. So, but notice the new low there. That low's lower than that swing low. So you got a failed second entry short again right here. Take that one right off that possible midline. You may not have had that midline. Actually, it looks like a spike in channel at this point. So you should have at least had that trend line working up through there, so that at that point it's off the trend line. But when we came back again, you want to copy it and drag it down just in case that's a midline, and it does turn out that's a midline. So it does come back again right here, and you could treat that like a little breakout pullback. But we're getting away from the EMA, so I'm a little leery of it. Again, you probably could argue for that to be green because at that point that really looks like a spiking channel in the trend line. Then we pull back first entry, pull back second entry, right at the EMA, right where your new trend line, your copied trend line would go. Second entry long, take that one and look at it go. Another big, if you just caught a couple of these off the key trend lines, you know, look where all the big moves start. Like always, like I tell you, where do the big moves start? Right off the trend line, the key entry point. Here's another one, right off the trend line, key entry point. Here's another big one, right off the trend line. You come over here, right off the trend line, right off the trend line. First break, again, at the trend line after the first break. This was a very nice trade here. Another runner. Then you're just kind of going sideways. You push higher, pull back first entry, pull back bounces right off the trend line, right off the EMA, second entry long. I'm going to take that. This is such a bullish move, and off it goes, right off the key entry point. Then we don't quite get back to the highs. Look how we're kind of fading here. Then we get a break, get a first entry, pull back second entry. There's a second entry long there, but I wasn't crazy about that one. It's not a great setup. But when it tries to go lower right there and makes a lower high, it actually goes lower first, turns up. When it breaks out, I like going long there. Another quick, easy move. It doesn't keep running this time, but now you got your break and a new high. It comes rocketing down. At this point, you're probably looking for a possible reversal, but look out, rockets back up, and now you got to think, hey, we're probably going sideways a bit here. This thing's been so volatile, and this move up has been really strong, so we may go sideways a little bit, and you got to be careful not to get whipsawed. You actually pull back here and make a lower high and break out the other side. You might take that trade. I'm not going to enter above that one, but if yours broke lower first and then went up, I'd be okay with that one under that circumstance because that definitely looks like another reversal. We're just retesting the high again. Then we just kind of get to chopping, but notice now you've had a break and you've had at least two tests of the high and two new highs. Then you make a lower high, then you make a failed second entry long with a big bearish bar. You may get a reversal here, so I like that one, but we just keep bouncing. I don't see any good long setups here, and I don't see any more shorts I like because you're getting too close to the lows, and you get a failed breakout, but that's too bearish. Come back, that's just a first entry. It's a higher high than this high, so I'm not crazy about going short. You know, we may move on up to the upper side. And unfortunately, there's no good way to get in this trade right here until here. And then notice what happens. You try to go higher once, try to go higher again. It fails and goes out, comes out here and closes, just go short right there. And hopefully it may go all the way to the other side. At the very least, maybe you'll get a measured leg like this one. You can see we didn't quite get that. It turns here, and you get a first entry short, you get a second entry short. It fails. We did push through the EMA a little bit, but more than anything, it confirms that trend line. I like going long right there, hoping that it's going to run back up. Sure enough, there it goes. And you may not have got a runner on this one. You may have come back. You may have got filled and then come back and close and got your break evens depending on how you played it, which is a shame. But that takes you up. I don't see any more. I'm not going to enter up here this close to the upper side of the trend channel. We end up just getting an overshoot and then it reverses again. And that gets you into the 2 o'clock hour. I don't see anything else I really like there, just inside, and then you're into the 2 o'clock hour. So lots of good trades today. Fairly straightforward if you just waited on the trend lines to set up. Everything, and we didn't really get breaks and new lows, especially on this one. We just got an overshoot and then we reversed. Here we got a break and a new high and then we reversed. Here's another one that came up. We just overshot it and then we reversed. We didn't get a break first. And that happens sometimes when the market's really strong or really weak. Sometimes it gets overdone and then it's already too much overdone, and the buying gets too strong, and it just reverses. So good trading day. Fairly simple today. I had at least one email from somebody telling me they had a best day ever, and and really, as far as price action goes, this was a very good day. As long as you don't get tripped up on these reversals that don't make a new low. I mean, when you shoot straight through the EMA like that and pull back and bounce, you got to assume something's changed. So keep that in mind. But anyway, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I need to get out of here today. So I'm going to wrap it up. Um, there was an FOMC news item at 1 o'clock too today, which came right in here somewhere. And that may explain this big sell off. And that's probably, that would have been another reason you probably couldn't get in that trade. Um, and notice I didn't mark anything from just after 12 noon until here. And that was another reason. I almost forgot to mention that, but there was a news item, and that may be why we had this crazy volatility right here at the end. But this day was crazy, period. So it didn't really matter. I mean, the day was crazier than this was right here, so we really didn't affect the market a whole lot, other than it might have caused this little shoot down and shoot up, and then big shoot back down. And by the time it got down to here, it was clear anyway. So there were a couple more trades you probably could have taken afternoon. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow and wrap up our week. But I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.